Approaching Shanghai by air, one is immediately aware of a vast blanket of smog which settles over the city and extending into the countryside. It is China's largest city and third most populous in the world. Into the traffic, however, and the horrendous congestion does bring home the fact that Shanghai has the densest population per square kilometre in the world. Our friendly guide, as usual, gives passengers a helping hand off the bus. We're about to see over a factory where hand-knotted woolen carpets and tapestries are made. Having a unique national style, they are rich and varied in pattern, bright in colour, fine in workmanship and durable in use. For a 6-day week, these skilled workers receive a basic wage of 100 yuan a month, equivalent to $10 Australian per week, plus a bonus at the end of the year. In the outlying areas of the city, the streets are invariably tree-lined, thanks to the tree planting policy of the government. The architecture is typically Chinese with low, closely packed buildings, small shops, busy markets and narrow winding alleyways. Hidden away in a courtyard off a busy street is the Jade Buddha Temple. In the first pavilion are the kings of the four winds, north, east, south and west, known more eloquently as the heavenly king of sight, of virtue, of protection for Buddhism, and of merit developing. In the adjoining temple is a golden statue of the Bodhisattva, the successor to Sakyamuni, the founder of Buddhism, and in the great hall are the 3 giant Buddhas in gilt, sitting upon ornate thrones. There are also a number of disciples. In a separate temple are female Buddhas set aside for women to worship, and a number of celestial guardians and angels. In the most revered temple, where one must remove one's shoes before entering, are 2 figures of Sakyamuni, each carved from a single piece of white jade, one depicting him at the moment of his enlightenment, and the other reclining, as he is passing into nirvana. Many worshippers still attend services here, but most are older people. China is renowned for its silk production, and here we visit a silk printing factory. Large rolls of white silk come into the factory, where intricate designs and patterns are printed onto them by a series of silk screening processes. From one of the upper floors of the Park Hotel in the city, we get a good view of Shanghai. It has little in the way of scenic beauty and is frequently enveloped in a haze of industrial pollution. Many tourists list Shanghai as their favourite Chinese city. It has an air of tense vitality and sophistication, unlike Beijing, which emanates majesty and reserve. We had a 28-course banquet at the hotel. Once more we plunge into the heavy traffic and alight at a commune on the outskirts of the city. It embraces 21 square kilometres and houses 18,000 people in multi-storied apartment buildings. Firstly, the kindergarten, where preschool children get primary education and training, which includes playing of games. What impresses one most is the self-assurance of the children. They stand up and sing and dance without the slightest trace of shyness or embarrassment. It is noticeable how well behaved the children are. It is attributed to affection given in early years, a practice which is centuries old. We were able to inspect a commune worker's home. We were led to believe it was a typical home in the commune, but we suspected that it was cleaned up and tidied especially for the occasion. The house is two-storied with all rooms opening off the veranda or balcony. The house provides accommodation for 3 generations, parents, 2 sons and their wives, and 3 grandchildren. Sons always remain at home, daughters go with their husbands. The dining room and kitchen are simply but adequately furnished. Cooking is done inside of a large copper heated by a wood fire or in a wok. The house is of concrete construction, the walls being trowelled smooth and painted. Fowls and ducks are allowed free run in the back garden, which is fenced off to restrict their entry. A canal passes the back of the property to aid access for watering of the garden. Washing is put out to dry on the back veranda or strung out from balconies. We had lunch in the commune dining room. This is the kitchen. Activities on the commune are many, but chiefly to do with farming of rice, vegetables and other farm produce. There are also many industries including shirt making, electric motor and battery manufacture, also chicken, duck and pig raising, also the growing of flowers. The people of China appear to go about their travelling and work in a leisurely manner. Not once did I hear them raise their voice in anger, despite the interminable delays. In the poorer districts where the houses are crammed together, the only place to hang the washing to dry is out in the streets. Clotheslines hung between the street trees seemed a good location, and what's more, they were safe from pilfering. In the old part of the city, where once there was a rabbit warren of festering slums, where few Westerners dare set foot, is now a picturesque maze of alleys, in which Westerners are viewed with innocent curiosity. The old shops and shanties are freshly whitewashed and newly thatched. Well-fed children play in the clean streets, which, no matter how narrow, are lined with green, flourishing trees. As one approaches the inner city, Traffic policemen shelter beneath umbrellas to control the traffic. If someone is caught disobeying his directions, he must himself assume the duties of directing traffic until such time as he catches someone else infringing. The facade of inner Shanghai has changed little since the communists began to govern in 1949. The same buildings are there, and their use is different. The banks now house Chinese officials. The consulates are now clubs and friendship stores, and the palatial palaces of the rich now transformed into children's palaces. The once notorious Blood Alley is now a quiet shopping street. Near the Bund, traffic police take refuge in a pavilion perched high above the traffic. Since childhood days, Shanghai's Bund has conjured up visions of a dingy, smog-laden, thug-infested waterfront, crammed with junks and rusty old seagoing vessels. Imagine my surprise to find a busy port with seagoing liners and modern cargo vessels plying the Hangpu River. Ferries with hundreds of passengers crammed between decks, and strings of barges laden with coal and old blunt-nosed steamers tacking against the tide, with tugboats racing to the next towing job of bringing a large liner or container vessel into port, all combine to make a picture of the largest port in China. Strolling up Nanjing Road, where the shopping area is the most Western in style in the whole of China, plenty of shop windows, a feature absent in most Chinese cities, with window displays. The street is packed with people, reminding one that this is the most populated urban area in the world. From here, we are able to get a distant view of the Bund swathed in smog, and the multitude of shipping which plies the port. Tall buildings flank the river, once international banks and trading companies. We were fortunate enough to be able to visit the Children's Palace in Nanjing Road, where first we were entertained by the children giving a shadow play show. Talented children who show particular skills have the opportunity to receive part-time extracurricular specialised training from leading professional teachers at children's palaces. We saw children performing ballet and having tuition in violin, accordion and traditional Chinese instruments playing. There were also classes in calligraphy, painting, drawing, radio and electronics. Visitors are conducted by hand by a star pupil to view the display of impressive skills mastered by the children. The energy, skill and fierce dedication of the students was awesome to behold. Outside, younger children were being entertained on a roundabout, and finally, a fond farewell from our conductors.